My name is Rob Stein in Canada and Sam Roberts in the United States. Um, I changed my name when I moved to the United States because there was already a Rob Stein in the United States. I joined the My Bloody Valentine cast because I actually had worked for George Mahalka in a movie prior to his directing My Bloody Valentine, which was called Pinball Summer. And I think George wanted to stay familiar with the cast that he had worked with originally in Pinball Summer. So we all had an opportunity to audition for My Bloody Valentine because we had already worked with him and he already knew our work. And so I had the opportunity to audition for John Leyland. The interesting thing about the development of My Bloody Valentine was, well, first of all, the name of the script was not My Bloody Valentine. It was actually called The Secret. And the reason it was called The Secret is because they hadn't changed the title to My Bloody Valentine yet. Um, we had no idea who the killer was because the producers and Paramount Pictures wanted to make sure that the cast, when we were working on the film, that we didn't know who the murderer was, so that there was a built-in sense of maybe I'm the killer. And so that was infused into all of the scenes of the movie. And then ultimately at the end of the film, we were given the last 10 pages and we found out who the killer was. Sadly, it wasn't me.
Was there ever a time you were hoping it was you?
Oh, yeah. We all hoped it was us because we wanted to be the badass. It was an amazing experience to get on a plane and fly to Nova Scotia, Canada, to make a movie. I had never made a movie somewhere else other than my own backyard, kind of thing. So when we got together and we jumped on a plane and we flew to another province that I had never been to, I was like, oh, this is the best. um, the thing that I relished the most was being a part of a company and being a part of a cast. And we were all going somewhere that we had never been before to shoot a movie that we didn't know the ending of. It was kind of all kind of mysterious. So yeah, it was an awesome experience to go to those locations, and it was very rural. Cape Breton Island is a very rural part of Nova Scotia, and most of the film, well, not most of the film, but a lot of the film happens in a mine, which was an actual real coal mine many years prior that was shut down because of safety issues. But for some reason, we were able to, or the producers or the makers of the movie were able to get the location of the Princess Mine in Nova Scotia and have functioning cars that went down the train tracks and out into the mine. And the mine, unbeknownst to us at the time, the first time we went out there, was like, where the hell are we? And it was like, oh, you're 7 miles out under the Atlantic Ocean in a coal mine. And I was like, what? It was pretty cool. And so that was one of the awesome locations. And the town of Valentine Bluffs, which was I believe the name of the town was Sydney Mines. And we converted the whole town into the town of Valentine Bluffs for the movie. But everything was new and everything was exciting, and it was awesome. It was awesome. the scene where I pick up Helene and pick her up with both my hands to kiss her, I believe was in the script to foreshadow her death, but it was also, it gave me information that maybe I might be the killer. So I think it was built in, it was a twofold build in. One, to foreshadow that that if she was going to die, this was how she was going to die. But for me as the as the actor trying to sort of decipher and read between the lines, oh geez, maybe I'm the killer, was always there, because we never knew who the killer was until it was revealed to us by Paramount well into production. We all thought, and if you look at the movie very carefully, every character has a moment where they could be the killer. And that was my moment to suggest that I might be the killer. It was written in as a foreshadowing moment, but as an actor, I thought, oh, geez, I'm the killer. You know, so it was kind of cool. It was cool. With respect to what didn't make it to the final cut, I would have to say that I'm not. I'm not sure. I wasn't on set every single day. I was only on set for the days that John was working. Let me just say this: everything that I was on set for made it to the final cut. It's hard to say. I mean, you know, unless you know, unless you're in the edit room, that you know, yeah. It was an amazing experience to work with George, because this would have been my second time working with him, and the first time I worked with him on Pinball Summer, I had a smaller role. It was a lesser role. It was basically a glorified extra that was given some lines and was charismatic on screen, so I got more time. But this particular role, to play John, I was actually one of the main characters in the storyline. And George has an amazing ability as a director to let you know that he trusts your choices and your ability to deliver your written character on screen with believability and from an organic place. And I think that that's his gift, is that he understands human nature. And I think when I worked with him on Pinball Summer, he saw that there was more to me than the role that I was playing in Pinball Summer. And he gave me the opportunity to play John, which was a much deeper character, with a relationship with Sylvia. And working with George, for me, was a life-changing experience, with respect to the fact that I had only done 2 movies and George was the director in both of them, but I kind of understood what a good director is looking for, and that's trust, and he trusted me to give him what he wanted. So it was awesome. I would love to work with him again. I really would. I would. George is humble, committed, and always has a vision for whatever project that he's involved in. And to me, that is magic. as I understand it, in the 80s in Canada, there was a tremendous tax break that was given to filmmakers and film companies that wanted to come to Canada to make movies, in particular in Montreal or outside of Montreal, which My Bloody Valentine actually ended up being in Nova Scotia, but it was cast and produced by a Montreal team. And I think that everybody that jumped on the horror film bandwagon in the 80s for horror films, and the list is endless, but there aren't a lot of films that have survived the 80s like My Bloody Valentine has. And I think My Bloody Valentine survived and has continued to draw additional generations to the love of horror, is because of the innovative way that George and Rodney Gibbons, who was the cinematographer on the film, the way they chose to depict the murders, but there was always a story. And I think the story, they say story is everything. And I really think that with My Bloody Valentine, the reason why it has held up for 40 years is because it's a good story. It's a story that people can relate to. It's a story that I related to, my children can relate to, and probably, hopefully, my children's children can relate to. Technologically, it was ahead of its time, but story-wise, it always will hold water. I'm really happy that this film has survived and has built its own cult following. I do follow it on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram, and I am blown away by how young new followers are and how passionate people have become with horror, and how My Bloody Valentine was a forefront movie that sort of it outlived itself and thereby was reborn in new generations of people. Am I surprised? I have to be honest. I have to say that when I made My Bloody Valentine, I never thought in a million years that, oh my God, 40 years from now I would be doing this, because all I was trying to do was make a buck. And all I was trying to do was just be an actor, getting a job and working in a movie. But the magic of My Bloody Valentine, the fact that we still are all friends and we still get together and we still go to these horror film conventions, and it's a blessing for me to meet people who weren't born yet when I made the movie, and they're lining up to get my autograph. I think that that's just incredible. I think that's awesome. So am I surprised? Yes. But am I surprised? No. I have three fond memories of making My Bloody Valentine. Two happened off the set on my day off, and one was on the set that freaked me out, but it still was a memory. The first one was we had a day off. We weren't shooting. It was myself, Carl Marat, and Cynthia Dale, and we decided to go on a sightseeing tour of Nova Scotia. And the three of us just hung out, walked the Cabot Trail. We bonded as friends. And that is one of the memories that I cherish the most, is that I got to meet people that I didn't know before and got to know them better. And that's the magic of a company or an acting troupe or a theater group or a film cast or whatever, is that there are those moments where you gel as people outside of and outside of the set, and you kind of go, wow, this is awesome to be here with these awesome human beings who are also members of the cast, but we just happen to have a day off and we happen to hang out and we happen to have an awesome time. So that was one of my great memories, was with Carl Murat and Cynthia Dale. The other, oh, and Helen Udy. The four of us actually we had a wonderful day watching the waves crash up against the rocks, yada, yada, yada. The second memory was, it's a memory, but it wasn't a good memory. It was a memory that I was sitting in my hotel room waiting to find out what my call time was. And, you know, I'm a Canadian and I'm a lumberjack and I had a penknife and I had a piece of wood and I decided to, you know, maybe carve a sculpture out of a stick. And all of a sudden, whoosh, I sliced my thumb from stem to stern, almost where my thumb was like coming off of my hand. And I bled out. I had to be rushed to the hospital. They had to sew my thumb back onto my hand. And the next day, I was shooting one of the scenes in the movie where we all take showers and then we get dressed and then we jump in the car and then we go to town for a big party. And I had this massive bandage that was like from here to here because I had slit my thumb open. And I go to the director, George, and I go, sorry. And he goes, don't worry about it, we'll cover it. So for the entire scene, when I'm like out of running out and jumping into the car, I have my jacket hanging over my arm so that the camera doesn't show the bandage. And I will always remember that, because I just sort of realized that was irresponsible. That was stupid. And thank God they didn't replace you or fire you or cut you out of the scene. So that was one memory that was stuck out in my mind. And the third memory, I think, was when I was on the set and it was all the miners and we were just coming up from the mine and we were all dirty and covered in dust and soot and coal, and we're getting dressed to go to the town, and we had to take showers. Well, Princess Mines had no running water, so they had to we had cold showers, but we had to pretend they were hot. So we had to take cold showers and pretend it was hot water, and they had smoke machines blowing up from the ground up to make it look like it was steam. And it was freaking freezing, like I'm talking cold. And we were just, and we had to do it naked. And I didn't understand why, because every shot was from the waist up. I don't know if you want to print that, but you can cut it if you want. But it was like, I guess we were going for realism. And sometimes you can't take a shower in a bathing suit. And maybe that was something that was, but I was like, oh God, oh God, oh my God. So anyway, that was a memory that I remember. He was Alf Humphreys was the glue of our company. He always made sure that everyone on set was having fun. He was an amazing comedian. He had an amazing sense of Alf felt responsible to bring us all together and to keep us together as a company. There are always egos, and there are always personalities, and there are always different opinions about moments that happen on a film set. And Alf's magic, not only was he an amazing comedian and he was an amazing performer, he was an amazing human being. And he would always turn your frown upside down kind of thing. He said nothing can be so bad that you can be mad about this experience that we're going through. This is awesome. And if you look at his character Howard in the movie, he raised us up on and off the set. He was a great guy, and I remember the last time that I saw him was in at a signing at a HorrorCom down in Tampa, Florida, and there were little moments of Alf where there were glimmers of his magic that he brought to the set, but it was painful. It was painful to see him in a place that I don't think if he understood it, he didn't want to talk about it because he didn't want to bring us down. He didn't want to be the Debbie Downer of our reunion. He was an amazing human being, and he brought so much joy to the set every day because he always believed that this is the best moment of our lives. Are you kidding me? We're kids and we're making a movie and we're all together, and what are you bitching about? There's nothing to bitch about. Look at us. And he brought that to work every day. And it touched me, and I know that it touched everybody on the set. And he is sorely missed. I miss him. I miss his energy. I miss his energy. He was an amazing guy. And that's all I have to say about that. Helen, Sylvia. Oh yeah. Today, Sylvia and I Helen and I have known each other for, she starred in Pinball Summer for George Mihalka. And I've known her since then. So we go back almost 37 years. And she was in New York today doing a show that she brought from LA to New York. And she spent the weekend at my home with me and my wife. And it was great. There's something about our friendships from My Bloody Valentine that has lasted 40 years. Lori Hallier, who starred in the movie, we speak often. Helen comes to New York and she stays with me at my home. In January, Tom Kovacs is coming to stay with me at my home, and he was in the movie. And Jim Murchison, the entire cast of My Bloody Valentine have stayed in touch to each other for 40 years. And that is awesome, magical, and a credit to George Mihalka, knowing that these were the right people to cast for the movie, because 40 years later, we're still hanging out together. And to me, that is a gift that lasts a lifetime. This script, The Secret, is the original script. This is the original script of My Bloody Valentine that was given to me by the producers. It is unmarked, untouched, I don't know what the word is. It's a pure, clean script. And as far as I know, it's the only one in existence because we were all teenagers. We just got hired to make a movie. But because I am very, I hold on to my life. I'm a little bit sort of like, I need a memory of every moment that happens to me in my life. And I need a moment of everything that happens to me in my life. And this script, I actually saved this because I never thought that I would ever work in another movie again. So it was kind of like, oh, I made a movie. This is my movie. But as it turned out, this is the only script that exists. All the other cast members got rid of their copies. I don't know, threw them away. I don't know, marked them up, whatever. But yeah, so this is it. The one and only script of My Bloody Valentine in existence. And it's mine. And I love it. I love it. Is it for sale? Who knows?